We are live once again on the Jim Feist Handicapping Show, brought to you by Dom DeMarco's. When a pizzeria wins Best of Las Vegas 5 years straight, racks up local awards, and becomes the highest rated Vegas pizzeria by Dave Portnoy, you know it's something special. Come taste the quality at Dom DeMarco's, located at 9785 West Charleston Boulevard in Las Vegas, Nevada. Ken Thomson joining us from sportsxradio.com again this week. Ken, couldn't get enough of you last week, so you're back again this week. And I'm in for Jim Feist, who's a little bit under the radar, but hopefully he'll return again next week, because we have a lot of big shows coming up next week when the tournament begins, Ken.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, as always, Greg. And, anytime I get a chance to talk college sports with you, I'm like a kid in a candy store. So last night was I don't want to say we hit a new low, but I don't get out too often. But my brother-in-law, of course, Ozzy's lead guitar player for 24 years. So Zach's out here in Phoenix and playing a little Zach Sabbath, and then brand new album, Black Label Society. So some hardcore metal, taking it all in, get to see my boys from Jersey and out on the West Coast, and then back to Vegas tomorrow. I'll be at the Big West Tournament Thursday and Friday, doing my show, SportsX Radio Live there, and following all these other tournaments, staying on top of all these games, and should be a lot of fun. And that's why I love Vegas, because you get the Mountain West, you get the WCC, which just concluded with Gonzaga beating Santa Clara. Now you get the WAC, which is kind of falling apart, but, is what it is. Vegas still a great place to be this time of year. And you talk about Dom DeMarco's. I'm just telling you, I'm an East Coast boy, and I know good pizza and just the ambiance there, and Jim and Albert Scalia, just beautiful souls, man. So, folks, when you get into Vegas, it is right there off West Charleston, Summerlin area, not too far from the Strip. You better go out to Dom DeMarco's and say hi to Albert Scalia, man. That guy's got the best Italian food, not just pizza. Pizza's ridiculous, but I mean the white clam sauce. Are you kidding me? I mean the penne. I mean all this different stuff, and then the meatballs. Jim Feist is a fan of the homemade meatballs and sausage, and so that's always great stuff. So I can't wait to see you out here, Greg.
Oh, I can't wait either. That sounds like a plan. Got to figure out a nice date for that to be scheduled in the future. No question about it. You've got that UNLV jersey on, and I've got the Rutgers polo shirt on, because both of those our teams are playing later tonight. I only do this for respect, because the college basketball team sucks, but that's because they had no money again last year. The new regime that's in place right now has done a fantastic job, but the basketball team is an off-season away, so they'll have more money next year. They'll be a little bit more competitive next year. The football program is going to be a lot more competitive this season. So Rutgers Athletics will have a bounce back next year, but still, I'll wear the logo to represent. And
yeah, but Greg, they're playing hard. I like to, you know what? And I think Rutgers, maybe. In that Big Ten opener against Minnesota, maybe they get a shot, man. They're playing hard. They played Michigan State tooth and nail both games. So they're playing hard. Pike will be coach. So we'll see. I mean, I root for them too. They're that Jersey team that I grew up not too far from. So pay attention to Rutgers, and I know Shiano and the guys fell off the map last year, but at the end of the day, you got a couple good running backs there in the league. With Monangai and Pacheco now, who's on the move. So
Monangai is, he's going to be the starting running back maybe as early as this upcoming season. So absolutely. And of course, they also have a fantastic receiver who they just paid a few $1 million to return, in KJ Duff. So he's a first round talent, by the way. So that's somebody to keep an eye on in the future. Before we get into our college basketball talk, with all the Raider paraphernalia I see behind you there, Ken, I have to ask you about the whole Max Crosby thing, because how weird is it? I mean, as a Raider fan, you must be so stoked. I mean, the last several years to have like one of the best edge rushers in the game. He's like the face of the program. And then after everything that went on last season, maybe this was predictable, but tell me the feeling of the Raider fans over the last week, as far as seeing their beloved edge rusher traded, and now he's kind of temporarily back. So what's that feel like?
Yeah, it's really weird, man. It's almost surreal, because we didn't want him to go. And so then when you're, understanding that you want him to have the best. He's given everything for this city. He's just an incredible human being off the field, substance abuse survivor, hands down a lot of wisdom to a lot of different organizations, but knows what it's like to live in a city like Vegas when you got problems, right? So you got every day is day to day. And Vince Scully used to say, we're day to day. We're all day to day. So at the end of the day, I look at Max as just being somebody integral piece of Las Vegas. And so kind of crushed when he went to Baltimore, but said, all right, now we're going to have number 1, number 14, and number 36, because there's 3 compensatory picks before we get our second pick in the top of draft round number 2. So I'm thinking, okay, that's solid. Then you go out and you grab some of these free agents, and I'm going, okay, they're making a nice splash here on the defensive side of the ball. Of course, getting the center from Baltimore was key, especially with young Mendoza coming in. You grab Naylor, good solid receiver, and you got to build up that core. But you've got Bowers and Mayer coming back, and Genty. Can you solidify the offensive line? And getting Linderbaum was huge to have that piece there with a rookie quarterback
that's hope.
coming in.
I mean, when you feel like you've got quarterback, center, running back, tight end, I mean, you've got something going on there.
Right. There's no doubt. And the nucleus is strong, and Colton Miller will come back. He'll be strong. He's been a solid left tackle for, most of his career, but last year was banged up, couldn't really get on the field except for a couple games. And Jackson Powers Johnson, at right guard, has got potential to be a starter, an incognito type, and just.
So what's the fans? What are the fans feeling though about this whole Crosby thing? Like what's the feeling right now?
Well, it's scary. It's scary because you don't know, number one, if it was just buyer's remorse with Baltimore saying, okay, maybe we paid too much, maybe we can get Hendrickson for less than that. If we nix it by saying it's a medical thing, and then of course that raises a red flag with Raider fan, because now, okay, are we getting damaged goods coming back here? I mean, it must be bad if Baltimore is not willing to take a shot to give him time to get that knee to where it needs to be 100% and to where he can be that dominant defensive player that he's been, especially with Minter going over from the Chargers, who knows Max inside out. And he's a defensive-oriented coach. So it's concerning right now for a Raider fan. But then you hear, okay, Dallas and some other teams still interested.
Sure.
And so we'll know if somebody doesn't want to pay the 2 first-rounders and they want to, say, give 2 second-rounders, we'll know that knee.
Oh, you got to get a first.
Yeah,
if
exactly.
You get a first, he can't go. He's got to stay.
Well, but I'm saying unless that knee is that bad, Greg. In other words, if
he can't go.
He can't go. Then you're stuck. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. You're $30 million on the hit on the cap too. So,
well, you got the money. Raiders still have a boatload of cash with their salary cap.
So. And I like Clint Kubiak. I like the direction things are going, Greg. And I feel confident that in 2 years there'll be a roster there that will be able to compete for the playoffs the following year.
We all hope so. I mean, look, I'm not the biggest Raider fan. I mean, when the Jets were playing some of their best football some years back, I mean, we had our share of big losses to the Raiders in the postseason. So, but I know how important it is for history of the NFL to have the programs, the historical programs like the Raiders. You mentioned the Cowboys. I mean, I think it would be great for the NFL in the next couple of years to see the Cowboys and Raiders in a Super Bowl. But unfortunately, it's hard enough for those 2 teams to make the playoffs. So, I hope so. Fingers crossed. They've got some good players there, and we'll definitely be keeping an eye on it over the next several weeks. We'll see what happens if Max does get traded, and then what goes on after that. Draft, of course, comes up next month. Don't forget, you could check out if you want to purchase a draft guide from our lads at ourlads.com. Just go there. It's the best draft guide in the business, and you can get all of your information regarding all the key players that are going to get drafted, scouting reports, everything. So check that out. Okay, let's talk some college hoops now because we're at that point in time, Ken, where every day till Sunday, and it started yesterday, I believe, maybe even Monday. But we've got all sorts of action, even like noon on, and it's wall to wall conference tournaments, last game of the season, if you don't advance kind of deal. And so we've got a lot going on here today and the upcoming next several days. Matter of fact, interesting enough, there's no championship games on Thursday or Friday, but then you've got 11 on Saturday, 5 on Sunday. Tonight, you still have 3 more to go. the Big Sky, the Patriot, and the Southland. Before we turn the page over there, last night it had Hofstra, Wright State, Siena, LIU, and Gonzaga moving on. Gonzaga aside, so far from the teams that have won their championship games, that includes Northern Iowa, High Point, Queens, North Dakota State, Troy, and Furman. Which of those teams do you think has a shot to at least make the first round game competitive no matter who they play?
High Point is well coached, and Big South, very confident team, and took out Winthrop. But there was some distance gap-wise between High Point and everybody else. And I felt that in probably, 4 or 5 of the non-power 4 conferences. And unfortunately, Navy was one of those teams that ended up getting burned on that buzzer beater that went down in flames. And it just crushes me. I mean, I enjoy, the festivities of March Madness and conference tournaments, but I like the way the WCC does it. Worst case scenario, the top team in your conference should at least be penciled in the semis. And I'm thinking, Greg, seriously, I mean, if you have a team in a conference like the Northeast or the Patriot that finishes 3 games ahead of everybody else, just put them in the finals. I mean, it's just because it looks good, but when your conference is now going to be represented by somebody that's going to get blown out by 40, as opposed to a Navy team that's probably going to be competitive. And it is what I mean, we'll see with Boston U. They're a scrappy team, and they got a chance to get to that final as well. But I just hate that. That's the part of March that I hate. It's almost like your body of work did nothing, right? And we remember the Ivy League for so many years. It was just, that was it. I mean, the top dog went, right? I mean, there's no conference tournament. And so now they have the 4-team conference tournament, which I'm okay with that. Sure. In some aspects, I know like the Big West, they'll take the top 8. So if you don't make it in the top 8, you're not getting in there. But and it happens all the time, but you got to be ready. But what is the regular season for a team like Navy to go 17-1 and then lose on a 40-foot buzzer beater and they're done and that's it? And then the season, go to the NIT. And you're almost like, what do we play the 18-game season for? I kind of, so I have mixed emotions,
Yeah, that's the only reason that I'd be okay with them adding more teams. But I know the reason why they want to add more teams is not because of that. But if you want to add more teams to the tournament, then I'm fine with you giving automatic bids to every regular season champion.
Right.
And that would be a reason to add more teams. But again, especially now the idea of adding more teams is so ludicrous based on this particular season.
Right.
Because I've never seen a more weaker crop of bubble teams in my entire life.
Agreed.
I mean, some of these teams, not even bubble teams that are like already considered locks, like Central Florida, who can't beat anybody nowadays. Oh, okay. Yeah, they've got a couple of wins. They got 20 wins from the Big 12. Put them in. Well, shouldn't they have to beat somebody significant, anybody in the last couple of weeks? Like SMU's the same way. They finally beat Syracuse and they're supposedly bubble or in. That shows you how bad the bubble teams are this season. And I'm not so sure that's going to change with the way the portal is.
I agree. And then you got to keep an eye on teams because you mentioned SMU and they've, they got to get past Louisville
today. Yeah. With the big injury there, right?
Yeah, Michael Brown's still not going to play, and that's a big. I took SMU plus the 7. Just
sure.
I thought there was value there. They're trying to win the game, and I took FSU, and I laid the 2.5 up to 4 against Cal. FSU's playing outstanding ball, and I had them in the VEASAN contest last week, and they rolled. Laying 1.5. They won by 15, whatever it was.
I actually put a couple of bucks on them at 150 to 1 to win the tournament.
Yeah, exactly, and because
why not? Look at Duke. Right, they're injured.
It's it. If guys are out, how do you not take a shot on some of these ACC teams like Miami? You take a shot there, and it was 25 to 1, went down to 15 to 1 when you find out Duke's got some injuries. So now it gives Shire carte blanche to get out of that tournament early because he's got the excuses of being shorthanded, and that gives them time to go back to Durham. Nigbanga is not going to play either in this conference tournament, or at least the opener. So, go against Duke right now in that tournament. And then you look at coaches like St. John's with Pitino. They split with UConn. They know they're in. it doesn't shock me if Rick Pitino bows out. I know it's at Madison Square Garden, but he used to do this at Louisville. He'd lose first or second round and get home and start preparing for the big dance. Who cares if you get the hardwood from the Big East? He doesn't care about that.
Who do you think? Because again, Villanova is another one of these teams that's a ridiculous lock. They have beaten nobody all year, and they've been a lock for a month.
Yeah.
But so we know they're in. So who could possibly be the fourth team then?
Seton Hall's got they've got to win like 3 in a row, and they're an ugly style, so we don't like it because we watch their defense, and Holloway's got the guys clamping down, but they don't really have any shooters, scorers that are consistent, and so they're kind of tough to watch, like watching paint dry type offense. So, but they're good enough, and they're hitting that 20-win plateau. Look, they were right there in the games with UConn. And in fact, they almost won at UConn, led that game for a good chunk of the way. But you still haven't really gotten that significant win that you have to get. And so they need to do some damage. They need to win 3 games. I look at teams like them and Indiana. If I hear Indiana one more time, I mean, Indiana, another team. But if they win 3 games in the Big Ten tournament, then they're in.
They're not winning 3 games. They're not even winning today.
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that. Yeah. I mean, they're going to go against, they were one of my big plays last week was Ohio State in that finale there in Columbus. And I was just like, man, people were betting Indiana. And I was like, I guess I'll just lose with Ohio State the way people are betting on Indiana. And Ohio State just jumped on them by the half and game never got close.
Well, let's take a look at some of these games coming up here today. We mentioned SMU and Louisville. And in this one, like you said, SMU's got to get the win. They're not really a lock yet. So a win, though, would put them in, you would guess. And let's keep in mind that both teams split winning at home this year. SMU won and covered both games. By the way, both wins were by double digits by both teams. But as you said, with Brown out, and Louisville's been actually one of the more disappointing teams. I really thought when Brown came back, I thought, okay, let's see if they can now kind of go on a run and show me that they could be a championship Final Four sleeper. And they've not shown me any of that. So I've been a little bit disappointed. But with SMU still needing the game, I think this is a good one, not only to take the points, but throw a few bucks on the money line.
Yeah, I got 7 and down to 6.5, and I see it. That Boopy Miller can play, and then Pierre. I mean, those two guys, 38 points between them. They just need to be on, and that's really what you need. You need if you have 2 solid players like that, you need them both to be on the same day, and you got a shot. And you can find the teams that are of the next echelon, right? Because we talk Arizona, Florida, Michigan, Duke. Those are the teams that we think of right away. Then Houston in that next tier and whatnot. But if you watch some of these other teams, they have the capability in this type of tournament. If you have 2 or 3 guys that can knock down the 3-pointer, you can grab some offensive rebounds. I mean, the game is you're going to see some major upsets. And you are, Greg, in the first 2 rounds, you're going to see upsets because it's the 3 ball. Teams all are pretty much predicated on the 3-point shooting now. So you can have a team all of a sudden go 2 for 18, and they're like, wait a minute, we know we're the better team. Look, it happens. It doesn't matter if you're Navy in their conference. Sure. It doesn't matter where you're at. If you're not hitting your threes, baby, and the other team's able to string them together, and then the longer it goes, right, with the underdog getting, having the advantage there and leading, then the tighter the other team gets, and then the other team starts milking the ball, and the other team gets desperate, and you see it. And so the teams that may not be well coached from the Power 4 conferences and whatnot, and some of the favorites in these games, they start to panic a little bit too early. So, but I'm on SMU. I'm on FSU over Cal.
Well, we're going to get to the rest of the games, so go one by one. And look, Einfeld knows how to coach as well, so we got to give him that. And then I think you hit it. I think with what happened last year, where there were no Cinderellas, I'm afraid that's going to happen again this season. There's no reason for me to think it won't. But I think where we could take advantage now of the early, like the first week upsets in the NCAA tournament, if they're not there, I think they're going to be there this week. I think there's a lot of really good upset opportunities this week, more so than what we'll probably get next week. And so I think there's a bunch of those today. It was SMU's for one. Let's go down the road here and see what else is going on. Some other
go back because I like Washington. This USC team's a
Oh
mess.
yeah, USC is terrible.
Yeah, I mean, and look, and the line's going towards SC. I mean, this line was 5 yesterday. Yeah, it was 5 yesterday.
Yeah, why do you think that? Because the USC UCLA line was the same thing. The line started coming down closer to that game, and why? And then they got blown out again.
Exactly, and there was no Baker Mazzara. I mean, that was your shooter, Musselman. That's your guy. I don't know if the guy's got mental illness. He sits in the crowd after he comes back from a fall from the locker room, and he sits in and so you just can't do that. And this guy's been a disruption, and that's the problem. That's the problem, Gregor, with the NIL money, right? All of a sudden, this kid's got $1 million in their bank account, and they're like, I don't need to listen to you. I make as much money as you, coach, or whatever, or I don't need you, I mean, I can't imagine me at 21 years old with 1.2 million in my bank account.
Tell me about it.
Forget about it. Forget about it.
So, yeah, I agree. I can't imagine that USC is all of a sudden going to wake up in this one when they have pretty much camped it in for the past few weeks. And Auburn, we know Auburn, if they lose this game, they're definitely out. I don't want to hear about them anymore. Yeah. I don't even think they should be in, even if they win this game. But if for some way they lose this game, we know that they're finally out.
Yeah, they're clinging to a win against Florida, right? I mean, and that's the stunner.
That's next?
Because I'm saying they got the win at Gainesville, so that's why we still look at Auburn, right? Because Florida's playing that's their last loss, right? Where they're playing at such a high level, and you're like, how did they lose at home to Auburn? I mean, and I Stephen Pearl's a good kid, but Bruce stepped out, and Auburn thought they're not going to miss a beat, but the kid's still got to learn, and he sees it's not that easy. Bruce Pearl can steal a few games. Stephen Pearl can't steal any.
No. In this one, this is definitely, again, I think this is a bubble game. I don't know why people have Central Florida in. I'm not saying they're not going to get in. I'm just saying I don't know why everybody thinks that they should just cruise their way in, because maybe that's what's been going on the last couple of weeks, that they looked at the brackets and everybody says they're a lock because they're playing like crap over the last few weeks. They can't beat anybody. They're 3-6 in their last 9. They've lost 3 straight. In a bubble game, which should be a bubble game against West Virginia, you'll lose by 15. I mean, come on. Now, Cincinnati is definitely, they know they've got to win. That's definite. Yep. And they've been playing a lot better than Central Florida. They won 7 of the last 9. Both of these teams split winning at home this year. Cincinnati won by 20. Central Florida won by just 1 point. I definitely like the Bearcats in this one.
Yeah, I can't go against them. I do respect Johnny Dawkins and UCF, but like you said, they do their best work there in Orlando. And, Cincinnati's just playing really solid ball right now. So, I'm definitely – Bearcats are nobody for me.
Here's your team, the 3 o'clock UNLV Wyoming Mountain West matchup. And Wyoming is actually playing their best ball of the year. They've won 3 straight, 5 out of 6, including wins at Grand Canyon and over Nevada. And they beat UNLV, as you know, in early January by 32 points. So I wonder whether to be a little revenge payback in this one. UNLV's won 6 out of 9, including a 27-point win against top-seeded Utah State, overtime wins against Nevada and Boise State, and a home win against Grand Canyon. So as good as Wyoming is playing, UNLV is still, in my mind, the better team, even though it's 8 against 9. But I just still think UNLV is the play here. Do you think this is a game to stay? If you took this game, would you just go on the money line, or do you feel pretty confident that UNLV will cover the 3?
I think UNLV will end up pulling away. I know the money's going towards Wyoming right now, but the game's not in Laramie. That's a 32-point. Yeah, they'll remember that, first of all. Josh Pazner is a pretty solid coach. He's done this whole season without a true point guard. Miles Shea, the transfer from UC Irvine, never got on the court. But Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn, not only is he a great scorer, but he can run the show. And the last 2 games, the home game on Saturday against Nevada, where they had to gut it out and get the win to get the split there with the Wolfpack, and got that done in overtime. And then to bounce back and go up against Utah State, and they were the only team to win in Logan this year. So they actually came back from a 12-point deficit with 12 minutes to go in Logan against Utah State and won the game by 10. So a 22-point turnaround in the final 12 minutes. So Utah State's going into Vegas going, hey, we're going to get the split. We're first place. And no, UNLV takes care of business, and not only takes care of business, they rout them big time. And Gibbs Lawhorn at the end of the game with 1:20 to go, I look up, he's got 5 points and like 1 assist. I'm like, what? But he's been on the court the whole time because he was facilitating and everybody got in the groove. And this kid, Kamani Hamilton, can play. He had 20 some odd points. And then Howie Fleming, this guy's averaging a triple-double his last few games. So you get those guys. You got a kid, Walter Brown from New Zealand, and this guy's the most unselfish. He's like that Rodman type of player that you need, little sandpaper in there, get in there, doesn't need to score, doesn't need to get assists, but gets everybody involved and guts it out and gets those key rebounds, stuff that doesn't show up in the box score. And I think UNLV is going to be ready for this game. They're going to get to the 50-50 balls like they didn't in Laramie, and they're going to take out Wyoming. That's the first game. It's always tough, the first game of the 4 games, but UNLV's focused right now, and they're playing their best ball. That win against Utah State is the best Rebels game I saw all year, and they had a couple decent wins. They won at Stanford. Like I said, they won at Logan, but that game was complete wire to wire, outstanding. After the first 7-8 minutes, they were the better team by far.
And as far as the bracket is concerned, let's see. You've got UNLV. Who would they be playing if they win this game? That is Utah State again, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a rematch. So if UNLV gets past Wyoming here, they will be playing Utah State. Keeping in mind that, of course, UNLV, they more than likely they are going to have to win it all. They're not going to get an at-large with a championship loss, and that's a shame if that were to happen, because there's so many teams in the Mountain West right now that can make the run and could look. I think Utah State's in. I don't think there's any doubt about it. I think they're in. They've had too good of a season, but are they going to have 2 teams or 3? That's the question.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's, and we know, say with the perennial teams, with San Diego State, but New Mexico's always been fun there. And you think if they still had Donovan Dent, that team would have been really rolling this year. And we saw him struggle at UCLA for a while. But yeah, it'll be interesting, Mountain West. But this is a big game. This is a big game for Coach Josh Pazner, and he came up with his 2 best games. The Friday or Saturday win, like I said, at home against Reno, and then to follow it up by sweeping Utah State, the top team in the conference, by sweeping them. That shows well for UNLV.
Do you like anyone here?
Do not. Okay. Madison Square Garden. This is one that I can see. Providence, Kim English, we know, is on the way out there, so they'll play hard for him. He's a good coach, but he's just not gotten things to fall there since Cooley left for Georgetown.
All right, now here's one of the championship games in the Southland. The 2 top teams are playing each other. They split the season series, both teams winning at home. SF Austin by 7, McNeese by 2. Interesting, if you've been taking the number all season long in the Southland especially, you should know, of course, whoever you are out there, Stephen F. Austin is 22-8 against the spread. McNeese is just 13-17 against the spread. So Stephen F. Austin has been a really good money play this season. And, I don't know what this says about the conference. Probably not really much, considering both of these teams had to sweat it out in the semifinals against some pretty, underwhelming teams, with McNeese winning their game against Texas, RG Valley, and right. I think that was in overtime. And Stephen F. Austin survived Texas A&M Corpus Christi by 2 as well. So they both sweated it out, but here they are in the championship game. McNeese by 3.5. What do you think?
I'm on Stephen F. Austin. Not only did McNeese State have to go overtime, they had to go triple overtime. So I'm taking Stephen F. Austin. You're going to give me the 1 seed plus 3.5. I know I got to lay a little juice there, but I'll take it. There's value there. McNeese State, there's still a nucleus there. Will Wade, of course, bolting for NC State, but he left, some of the players back there. But this is a good spot for the Lumberjacks. And, Texas A&M Corpus Christi and the UT Rio Grande Valley, those are 2 teams that, even though there were higher seeds, they could have both won this conference tournament. There's enough parity between those 4 teams right there. But I'll take Stephen F. Austin. You're going to give me points. I'll take him.
All right. Now here's a big
on
one.
On Liberty. You passed Liberty. I'm on Liberty. I just think they're.
Why is that spread so small for a 1 versus a 9?
Yeah, because Missouri State's playing good ball now. They're playing with confidence and got a nice win. But Liberty, they come off a loss, a home loss. I believe it was against UTEP. And I mean, it's very important for this Liberty team. They've been around this type of atmosphere for a long time. They're usually the king of the crop there in the Conference USA. I just feel like 5.5. I think it'll be close for a while, probably 30 minutes. And then I think you see them open it up and win between 8 and 15.
All right. Yeah, that's weird. 1-9, only 5.5. Okay, so now we've got Indiana on the bubble. Northwestern is not. But in case anybody out there does not know, Northwestern has beaten Indiana 6 consecutive times, including an upset win on February 24th at Indiana by 8. They were an 8-point dog. And they have not only beaten Indiana 6 straight times, 5 of those are outright upsets, including the upset last month. Indiana, meanwhile, is 1-5 in their last 6. In 4 of those losses, they've lost by 13, 13, 20, and 29 points. Northwestern coming off a 10-point win against Penn State in round number 1. Their number 2 scorer is questionable, but he didn't play in that game against Penn State. This line is actually going up. I have no idea why. I have got to be all over Northwestern, and I'll definitely throw a few bucks on the money line as well.
Yeah, exactly. And it's psychological for Indiana. And, you know, we watched them against Ohio State in a game they knew they had to win for the committee. Yes, it was on the road, but like you said, you lose the game before to Northwestern at home. Another game you can ill afford to slip up. And this team's just not that good. I mean, they've got some players. They got to, 17, 18 wins. And a lot of people, once you start piling up those double-digit losses and then you can't win a game, like you said, they've lost 5 out of 6 and not even been competitive in 4 of those losses. So it's Northwestern or nothing for me. And I agree with you, as long as Martinelli and some of these guys aren't out, always got to check injuries. Make sure you get updated as far as that if a line's moving. But again, Northwestern or nobody. And then this next game, I'm on Marquette. Marquette's made me good money over the last month. They're playing good ball. I thought they'd be ready for UConn in the last game. I didn't. I'm upset because I didn't sprinkle money line, but I did call them. I thought that was a good call again, getting 8.5 or whatever against UConn. They've been playing well. They covered losing only by 6 to St. John's, 76-70 when they were getting, I want to say 10. So I just like the way Shaka Smart's team's playing right now. They're not going anywhere. Yes, they would shock the world if they won the Big East tournament, but I think they definitely take out Xavier.
Okay, that's one to keep an eye on for sure. And then we've got Texas definitely needs a win. They're on the bubble. You can't lose to 15th seeded Ole Miss. Anything here?
Yeah, you got to tell it's Texas or nobody, and Volca Titus needs a big game. Sean Miller should have the guys ready. Chris Beard, he's a good coach, but he just doesn't have the squad, and that's why this team just keeps free falling. Again, 6.5 is a lot, and Texas will be happy just to win the game to advance is what they need to do. And Sean Miller's one that doesn't show all his cards in one game because it's only 1 W, and I think he realizes he probably has to win 2 games after the loss at home to Oklahoma.
7 o'clock, we start getting to the primetime games, and we've got this Cal-Florida State game, 4.5 right now. Like you said, 2.5 to 4.5. We have Florida State. They beat Cal at home in late January as a 3-point favorite, beat them by just 2. But Florida State has won 9 of their last 11. Cal is just 1-2 in their last 3, losing to Wake Forest and Pitt. And so Florida State's playing better ball here, even though Cal is 11 games over 500. FSU just 3 games over 500. But I really like the direction of this Florida State program. I like the coach. I think that was an excellent hire. The Leonard Hamilton disciple, former player. I think he's going to get this program back to where they need to. And they're playing some really good ball right now. Mentioned taking them as a big long shot, of course. Winning against Duke, even though they're going to be down a couple, isn't the easiest thing to do. But it just exemplifies the point that I just think that Florida State is going to make a little run here. Yeah,
that McCray kid can play, man. He gets everybody involved. I just like the way they move the ball. They don't have it just their offense isn't stagnant, and sometimes they go into a little bit of a shooting lull. But I like this Florida State team, and Cal's had some good games, and then they've had some head scratchers where you're like, well, what? And so it is, but that's the that's the difficulty with Stanford and with Cal traveling ACC. Sometimes, you just catch them and they can drop 2 on a weekend when you look and go, oh, they should take care of business this weekend. Then they drop the Thursday and Saturday game. And you're like, whoa. But it happens. It's just a weird thing just seeing Cal and Stanford in the ACC. It doesn't get easier, but FSU is definitely playing good ball, and I like them a lot.
Okay. What about this one? BYU, West Virginia. BYU, we know they're in, but they have not looked good at all. Once their top player got banged up and is out for the year, it's like they lost a whole lot. They really did. And I expected them to recover at some point, and they just haven't done it. Okay, they had a nice win last time out. What was it, yesterday? But West Virginia, they're getting 4.5 in this one. And didn't West Virginia just beat BYU recently?
Yeah, and they'll still slow it down and muck it up. BYU got the offense running yesterday, and Thomson in open court. You need right to third to be really consistent. And yeah, the loss of Richie Saunders is big. He's a shooter, catalyst, but he's had some games. He had some games where he couldn't hit anything. So they've played enough games without him. DeBonce is still a guy. He's an NBA talent. So it's BYU or nobody for me in this game. I just can't trust West Virginia. Some of these offenses, Greg, you just, as my buddy used to tell me, if you bet on crap, don't be surprised with a crap result.
That's true.
I mean, I just can't. I can't take West Virginia. I know they have the capability, but I'm not trusting them outside of Morgantown. That's for sure.
Okay, here's another championship game. The Patriot, you mentioned it before, Boston University with the big upset over Navy. They also opened the tournament with a win over American, the defending Patriot champs. They beat them by 2. They've won 9 out of 10. Lehigh, meanwhile, over their last 18, they've won 13 of 18, and they've had 2 overtime losses during that span and a 3-point loss. So over the last several months, Lehigh has really been dialed in. They did have a blowout loss to Navy, but most teams did. And here's an interesting thing. Lehigh has been in 7 overtime games this season. 7. They're 3-4 in overtime. Maybe we'll get an overtime game tonight. May want to bet on that if you get, I'm sure there are odds somewhere about overtime. Lehigh won both games against BU this year, straight up and against the spread, but they were only by 3 and by 2 in overtime. So I'm a little bit surprised BU's the favorite here, to tell you the truth.
I am as well, and that's why I'll check injury, but I'm on Lehigh. And I hate to say that my sister's got her master's degree there from the Terriers in Boston U, but they took out Navy, and that irritated me, man. But at the end of the day, they deserved it. But like you said, playing a lot of close games, Lehigh's playing well, and you're going to give me the points from the team that's won twice. And, there's several situations that we've seen now where teams are meeting for that third time, and it's difficult to beat a team 3 times. East Tennessee State, they went down in their final. They were looking for the 3-game sweep, didn't get it. But then you did get a 3-game sweep in a semifinal of the Big Sky, ironically, with Montana knocking out Portland State, who won the Big Sky regular season, but Montana beat them 3 out of 3.
Wow.
So that's, that was one that I lost on last night. I thought, and in fact, the last 2 times, and I'm surprised Portland State went down, but, give Montana credit, and that's why they're in the final against Idaho tonight later on. But I like Lehigh here.
Okay, and we've got, boy, what a bad year for Memphis.
Yeah.
And any chance at all they make a run in the tournament?
No.
Okay.
No, Penny Hardaway just doesn't have the squad. He's got some athletes, but with
the money that they can use in the portal from FedEx, it is shocking that they don't have a better team this season.
No question. And we see some of these guys around that they had that are on different teams now. That kid Haggerty, that's one of the leading scorers in the country. He started there. There's
they couldn't pay him to stay. I mean,
that's a problem. Sometimes these guys just say, "Hey, I'm moving on." They get a better offer, and next thing you know, you're just trying to plug holes and get someone to replace them. I don't know how much there is conversation wise to where these guys with their agent, are going back and forth, or do they just come up and say, hey, they're getting 1 million from this school. Hey, I'm getting 1.5 now, so I'm going here. And they're like, I'm going here. They don't even say, hey, let's discuss it.
I don't know.
And so
grass is always greener. That's what the saying is. And a lot of times it's not. So
no, it's not. Think about Andrew Mahaney from St. Mary's, right? His kid thought he was going to make it, goes to UConn, struggles mightily, can't even crack the lineup, and now he's back out west, and he's an afterthought. But if he stays in Randy Bennett's system, he's freaking excelling and probably getting a shot at the association.
That's right. Yep, 100%. Okay, now I just want to mention this game because Colorado State really played well towards the end of the season, and they had their winning streak snapped against Boise State, but still – I think both of those. Matter of fact, I put money on both Colorado State and Boise State in the Mountain West Championship odds. I think Boise State's now down to 6-1. Colorado State was 18-1. And just because they lost one game, I'm not really too worried about that. I still think Colorado State could make a run. Fresno State's not really good. I'm not going to get myself involved with this game, but it's a team that I'm definitely looking forward to when they play their next game, whoever that's against, because they'll probably be an underdog.
Yeah, and Colorado State disappointed a lot of people. They were only laying 1.5 at home in their finale against Boise State, and they had been playing lights out. Yeah. Boise had been playing well.
That's right.
Leon Rice's guys. But remember, Leon Rice's guys, just like Utah State, Boise State got swept by UNLV this year. So,
but they're playing their best ball here, though, Boise now. So I'm willing to forgive them. Because everybody thought they were going to be the best team in the conference when the season began.
Yeah, I didn't know, because Falslev and Utah State I thought would be pretty good. San Diego State, you can never count out a Dutcher team. And if Bird shoots it well, they usually can score enough. But yeah, this New Mexico was a nice surprise after losing Denton, a couple other guys. This is a wide open tournament, Mountain West. No question. Fresno State 7.5. They'll try and muck it up. Colorado State just wants to win the game. I didn't touch the line, Gregor.
Nice to see DePaul actually with a pulse. Is this like the best they played since Ron Meyer? I mean, wow. They actually have a halfway average team.
Yeah, it is a team that at least plays 40 minutes, plays with some heart, kind of like the Detroit team we saw yesterday lose to Wright State in the final over there. This is a team that they'll go after, and they're trying to get back to that upper echelon in the Big East. And it's been so long since the Ray Meyer, Joey Meyer days that, the folks in the Chicago area, they're just like, it's an afterthought now. But it's good for basketball if DePaul somehow can get back in the thick of things, and for Georgetown too. And we know Cooley's heart's into it. They just, to me, they just lack some offense. They've had some decent games, and they'll come at you as well. If you take them lightly, Georgetown can take you down.
All right. This is the Rutgers game against Minnesota. You mentioned New Mexico. Well, this is where their coach is. Actually, that's Colorado State. But look, I really like Nedved. I really do. I think he's going to do a really good job here as the coach. They started to play pretty good basketball, too, towards the end of the season, even without one of their best players who was injured. But their bench is so small. They have no chance in a tournament setting because there's not enough bodies. And within the next second day, third day, if they even reach that far, they just won't have enough left in the tank. Like you said, at least Rutgers is playing hard, but Minnesota is definitely the better team.
Yeah, they're the better team, but I'm not laying 5.5 on a neutral. They're in Chicago. Rutgers, though, far away from Jersey. Minnesota should have more fans there. But I like the way Rutgers is playing right now. And so 5.5, I'll look at Rutgers there. I think there's some value. I think Minnesota wins the game, but I think it's real close.
Okay. We've got some West Coast games here.
Yeah, I'll be at that tournament. I'll be at that tournament tomorrow. And that's Cal Poly. Now, the Big West, all 8 teams, they only take the top 8, but all 8 teams, Cal Poly is the 8th seed, but they're 10-10. Everybody else is over 500. And this conference can go, any one of those teams can win. From Santa Barbara, who's playing against Davis, UC Davis.
Who's the best long shot? Who's the best long shot?
Boy, in this Cal State Fullerton, man, they surprised me. I actually, on the VEASAN contest, I had Cal State Northridge to avenge a loss at Fullerton in their home finale, and they just could never get over the top. And I was laying 5, and they finally got a 2-point lead with about 3:30 to go. They went up 77-75, and they never scored again. Fullerton outscored them 15-0. I was blown away. I'm very impressed with the way Cal State Fullerton has played. And look, they're good enough. I mean, they're that
22-1.
What's that?
22-1.
Yes. There, you definitely have value there. The way Fullerton's playing, there's value on UC San Diego, Santa Barbara. I mean, you're getting 7-8-1. Look, UC Irvine. I had them in the contest as well. They're plus a 165, and Hawaii's plus 220. Hawaii's finale was at home against Long Beach State, who didn't even make this tournament. And Hawaii on senior day, they got their butts kicked at home by Long Beach State. So that's how they ended the regular season. UC Irvine, I had them, Greg, in the tournament, the VEASAN tournament. They were playing UC Davis, and I had them -9 to avenge a loss in Davis, California from earlier this year. And I never really got the lead. Game goes into overtime, and I get bailed out. They win by 10, and they make four free throws inside the last 30 seconds to get it done, including the last 2 with 7 seconds. And I was like, man, I stole one there. So I was good there. That's every now and then you need to. Yeah, right. You got to be good, but you got to be lucky. You got to get those overtime ones. And sometimes isn't that crazy? Like when you're laying points and you're looking, going, God, the only way I can win is if this goes into overtime.
That's
so you're rooting for your guy to miss that last shot, unless you have a money line too. But college hoops is unreal.
All right, ACC matchup. Clemson is a 6.5-point favorite here. I actually think Wake Forest is another good dog here. They've won 6 out of 9, and they beat Clemson in their only matchup this year. They were a home dog last month, mid-February. Beat them by 8. Clemson's just 2-5 in the last 7. So both teams are going in the opposite direction. Wake is playing every game like it's their last, because it is. Clemson will be in the tournament. So what do you think about this one? Do you agree, or do you think the points are the way to go?
Yeah, I would only go points. Forbes impressed me, even though they had to go, some overtime work last night against Virginia Tech. Vatech, I thought, would win that game, so I was wrong. Yep. I got to give Wake Forest credit. VT needed to win 2 games. They did have a triple OT win against Virginia Tech, and then they closed at Charlottesville, and they were right there to win that one, but they couldn't get it done. So that forced them to win a game. And you're right, Clemson's struggling, and Brownell is struggling, even at Little John. And then they were fortunate, I think, when they beat Louisville. Louisville was without Michael Brown, so they were bailed out for that game. I would take Wake Forest plus the 6.5. Again, I know they're tired, but I think they can slow it down, and I look at the under too. Wake Forest in the under.
TCU, they are. I don't. They should be definitely in. I don't
think
there's any doubt about it. They're in.
They're in for sure.
So and they're going to be a dangerous team. They are. That's a team that I'm.
Remember TCU. TCU beat Florida. Remember that.
TCU beat Florida, and they won that. What was that? They beat Wisconsin and Florida in that. November tournament.
Right.
So that was a tournament game.
If you have Florida in your on your resume there that you beat them, you're going to get a good look from people. And
I'm hoping when that bracket comes out, they face a team that I have no trust in. That's what I want. I want a matchup against a team that I was already looking to beat. And then I could jump all over TCU, because that's the one thing about the brackets that can be a pain in the ass is when you look at it, a lot. This always comes back to haunt me, is that I look at these brackets each year and it's like, why are like my 3 sleepers in the same region? Like, why are these teams playing each other when I like both of them? That's the thing that kills me about matchups. But hopefully we'll get some luck this year with the matchups. TCU also had that 4-point loss to Michigan earlier this year. Let's not forget about that, when Michigan was killing everybody. So definitely a team to keep an eye on come tournament play. And then there's that championship game you talked about. 4 seed against 7 seed. Montana and Idaho. The 7 seed's the favorite.
Yeah, and Idaho's been the favorite. And so they've gotten a little healthier, but they found ways to win. The tournament's in Boise. But Montana, Grizzly fans, they'll travel across the state line. They're not, they've done it for football for a long time. It's a good rivalry there with the Vandals and the Grizz. I would only take the points. Again, you're going to give me points. I can't lay points because that game could go either way. And so I'd only take it, but I'll probably stay away because I respect the way that Idaho's playing right now. Like I said, Montana surprised me by beating Portland State 3 times. Remember, Portland State won the Big Sky regular season. It's crazy.
Okay, let's take a look at some other conference odds we have here. Look, South Florida has definitely been the best team in the AAC. Do you think that there's another team that you're afraid of, or do you think you should go all in on South Florida?
No, I mean, South Florida's a better team, but Tulsa's still dangerous, and so is Wichita State. Wichita State's playing great ball of late, and they end up getting a blowout win in their final game. UAB, Andy Kennedy, he's been there, done that. So he's a good guy. Remember, I mean, Andy Kennedy's the one that found Yaxel Lendeborg there for Michigan. Yep. Okay, so that's the part that sucks about college basketball. I mean, here's Andy Kennedy, a guy that knows the game, and he goes and he finds Lendeborg. No that's Power right. 4 conference team, but he loses them. And Andy Kennedy understands, hey, we can't pay you here at UAB what you're going to get up there with Dusty May in Michigan. So take the money, kid.
So who would you take then?
Right in this right here, I take a shot at UAB.
Okay, 22 to 1 UAB. Wow. Okay,
you're going to give me 22 to 1. I mean, there's because you don't know. Okay. I mean, you're looking at 3 teams that are 370, 270, minus 120. But if Wichita State knocks out South Florida and UAB beats Tulsa, or whatever way the bracket's set up,
sure.
Next thing you know, and I'm telling Andy Kennedy's that type of coach. He's a very shrewd coach. So sometimes the coach comes into play in these smaller conferences.
Well, then I think the way to go about doing it is because I think South Florida is clearly the best team in this conference, and they're not in. So they have to really win this one. They don't want to rely on an at-large. So I think South Florida is going to win it. But what I would do is I take South Florida and I just hedge my bet with UAB. That's what I would do. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. We talked about this one. You going with Liberty in the Conference USA?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I think Yale's a good play. Even though they're even money, they're clearly the best team in this conference. You only got to win 2 games and it's even. So I don't have to give up any points. I'd go with Yale.
Yeah, here's the thing, though, and you got to weigh matchups because Harvard and Amaker's team's defensive oriented. Yale beat them by 1, and they lost the first game. So, but Harvard plays a lot of close games. Now, Fran McCaffrey has his alma mater in his first year playing good ball. They're scoring. They're playing good defense. Cornell, we know they can score. But against Harvard, it's a bad matchup. Harvard's had Cornell's number with their defense. So I can't lay 110 with Yale. There's not enough value. I'm not doing it, Greg. I know they're a good team, but Harvard, because they beat them once, and look at the game that Yale won, had to go overtime to win by 1. So it's not worth it. There's no value there for me to have to win 2 games to win minus 110. I'd rather take a shot at McCaffrey plus 650 or even Harvard plus 475 because I know they have Yale's number.
Miami of Ohio, the undefeated Red Hawks are the second choice in the MAC tournament, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. Look, at this point in time, Miami's in. There's just no way they can take Miami after what they've done and the games that they've played and the wins that they've had down to the wire. People would, I think they'd have a really big problem if Miami of Ohio somehow lost the championship game or whatever game they lose. So maybe they get 2, maybe Akron pulls it out. But isn't that interesting? You can get 2 to 1 on Miami, the undefeated Red Hawks. What do you think about the MAC?
Okay. So to me, not enough value with Miami of Ohio. I do get it why they're the second choice. Akron's lights out, only had the 1 loss in the conference. They did play the one time at Miami of Ohio that the Red Hawks beat them by 3. But UMass, see, now I'm looking at Frank Martin and UMass, 45 to 1. But all I'm betting is instead of me betting against Miami of Ohio money line like that opener, because that's who they have to play, I'll take UMass to win the conference tournament. If they take out Miami of Ohio in the opener, and I got them 45 to win, the confidence that they're going to have, the team, they're going to have to, Akron, they're good enough to beat Toledo. Kent State's down, Bowling Green. I mean, UMass is good enough, Frank Martin, to beat everybody in that conference. Akron's the scarier matchup, but you're not going to have to face them, I don't think, till the finals. And if that works out, that would be great. But I would take UMass to win it at 45-1, just value wise.
Well, there's the Mountain West, and again, I went with Colorado State and Boise State. Mm-hmm. Boise's now dropped down to, well, it's 5-1 here. I think you can get mostly 6-1 on them. So which direction would you go?
I'm going to go UNLV right there at 45-1, knowing that. Well, here's the thing: they beat Utah State twice.
Sure,
that's the one seed.
We just went over it. Yeah,
right. They beat Boise State twice. The team that you're talking about that's been red hot. So can they be consistent? And that's been the problem with them. But like I said, they're playing their best ball of the year. Even that last game of the year, they had to go to the Viejas Center. And they were 10-point dogs against San Diego State. And they were the right side for 95% of that game straight up. Easy cover. But, because you're getting 10, 9.5, 10, never had to worry about it. I think it closed maybe 8.5. Never had to sweat it at all. Pasner's got him playing their best ball right now. And he's just going to hand down that little Lute Olson stuff that he was on that national title team. Here's what we do now, boys. So, there's value there. And Colorado State at 25-1, there's value there as well.
Okay, don't have the rest of them here, and I can't pop up a sports book because I'll get censored by YouTube. So as far as some of the other, like the SEC, the Big 12, the ACC, and the Big 10, do you have any sleepers in those conferences?
ACC, I like Miami of Florida. I just
think they're 18-1.
I like the way this team's playing right now. SEC, you know what, Vandy, and I look, Porter Moser's got Oklahoma.
Oh yeah, Vandy's a good play, 10-1.
Vandy's nice. Oklahoma's a major stepping stone, but Porter Moser's good enough, and that team's good. So remember, they went into Vandy. They actually were up by about 18 and ended up winning by 1, but they've played well, and getting that win, that last win, had to go OT against Texas and Austin. I mean, they know what they're fighting for. They gave Porter Moser his walking papers basically, several weeks back, but now the guy just continues to win games. And that's
he's had a lot of close losses.
No doubt. There's like 5 games there. Yep, 5 games, 2 3-points or overtime.
It might be a good upset play. Whoever they play tomorrow. I'm not sure who they play tomorrow.
No, they're laying 8 in their first game. I know they're a big favorite in their first game.
So whoever they play tomorrow, they'll probably be a dog, and they may not be a bad play tomorrow.
Right. I agree.
Okay. So then what about in the, and because the other thing too, Duke is still a heavy favorite, even without 2 of their, because they only have 5 impact scorers on the team, and 2 of them are out.
Right.
So that just shows you the ACC strength of the ACC right now, that Duke could have 2 of their top 5 scorers out, and they're still minus 300 to win the ACC tournament. But I don't know. I mean, I could see that happening, of course. But hey, Miami, maybe we'll get a run by Florida State. Who knows? But we'll see. And because I don't think Brown's coming back for Louisville in the tournament, right?
No, because it's back-to-back games. They don't want to do that.
Okay.
So they'd rather, and they don't want to play him one game and then have him miss the next game. So I think they're, and that's what it does, Greg.
Maybe they're playing back for the championship game.
Well, if you have a player or 2 out, you know what? You'll coach your team hard, but I'm telling you, the coaches like Pitino, Calipari, almost like the Italian families, they know what they're doing. They'll bow out early. Oh, darn, we didn't win the conference tournament. Okay, guys, let's get back to Durham right now and start scheduling everything for our strategy. Let's find out where we are. Duke knows they're a 1 seed. Why you don't need to win the ACC tour. I get it, no. Boozer. It's his 1 year. He could care less. He's, this is Final Four or bust for Duke, right? I mean, it means nothing. You got Boozer's 1 year. You beat Michigan in the neutral. So North Carolina, you just disposed of, which we expected without Caleb Wilson being there. But I expect Duke to bow out. I'll be surprised if they win the ACC tournament. I know they only have to win a couple games, but I just don't see it. Like you said, they're scoring. I mean, there's other teams that really would like to step up. And Florida State and Miami are two teams. Virginia, always a bad matchup with Duke. I mean, Duke's a bad matchup for them, but they're good enough too. DeRidda and those guys, and Odom's done a nice job there. So
yeah, they're the second choice, I think, at 8-1. But I prefer Miami, like you said, at 18-1. Because I don't think there's a big difference between Miami
What's
and
FSU,
Virginia.
Greg? What's FSU?
150-1.
Yeah, you got to take that. You got to take it. It's worth it. It's you know.
Big 12, I think the best value there is Texas Tech. You're getting 18-1 with the Red Raiders. I don't really care about their loss to TCU because TCU is a good team. Plus, Texas Tech, they had just come off another big win, their third big win of the year. And without their top player, of course, that was a big one. They had to show everybody they could beat the best of the best without their top player. So they had a letdown. But they still have a lot to prove in the tournament. So I think Texas Tech's a nice sleeper at 18-1.
Yeah, you got two shooters there with Atwell who can move the ball point-wise as well and shoot it. So one of those guys that can shoot the three off the dribble, and Anderson's a scorer. So those two guys, they get more touches. They have more free reign now from McCaslin because you don't have JT Toppin, so you don't have to dump the ball inside like you did. So if they're knocking down shots, and they spread the court nicely. If you watch their spacing now, it's been pretty good over the games without Toppin there, and I like it. It's almost like it's not congested to where I thought their spacing lacked a little. If those guys are on, Atwell and Anderson, and they're on opposite sides of the court most of the time, they're going to be dangerous. There's no pressure on them, right? They're not supposed to win. They lost their big guy. But sometimes that comes into play to where if you're a shooter and you're shooting with no pressure on you, it's a lot easier to shoot, baby. When you're expected to make it and you're expected to win and cover at margin, then the pressure becomes daunting sometimes for these kids. So, it's going to be.
Do you like anyone else in the Big 12?
I mean, I like Arizona to get to the Final Four. So, this team, the top 8, I think is the best in college basketball.
What are they as far as the line? Are they even 2-1, something like that?
Oh yeah. I would think they're probably about 2-1 to win the conference tournament. And again, when you're talking Iowa State, we know Kansas City's always been Hilton Coliseum West, right? I mean, so they have their fans there, and really, Otzelberger needs to get these guys playing better because Lipsey's been inconsistent. Momcilovic. We know he can shoot it, but they're not Jefferson. They're not grabbing the boards that they need to grab right now to get those offensive putbacks. They need to get some momentum. So maybe Iowa State, and again, they'll have the major crowd advantage. Look for Iowa State. I don't know what they are, but they can't be that high. But there are teams, that we look at, Kansas and Arizona and the others. But Iowa State would probably be the one that I would play. And I see them maybe plus 200. I mean, I'm not looking
Arizona.
No, Iowa State for the Big 12 tournament.
Oh no, because they would have to be the second choice, I believe,
right.
or the third. I have to check it out. Let me see if I could find out where they're. Let's see, conference tournaments. Let's see. I have it right here. Again, I can't pop it up on the screen.
Yeah, if you're getting better than 2-1 with Iowa State, it's definitely worth a play, my feeling, because their fans go there and they make a weekend of it. They expect to be in the finals. And so Lipsey really needs to be more consistent. These guys, Heisey and these guys need to knock down their shots. And Otzelberger's just trying to get this team back on track because they were so dominant and they were 15-0 in Ames. And then all of a sudden, you talked about it, Texas Tech went in there. And I had Iowa State because Texas Tech had played 2 games without Toppin, but both at home. So I'm like, okay, now there's film on them. Now they got to go to Ames, and Iowa State's unbeaten 15-0. And I expected Iowa State, to take care of business. They were laying 9.5, and it was Texas Tech that looked like they should be laying the 9.5, and they end up winning by 9, but they were up probably 15-18 pretty much the whole way. And so that score was not indicative of how Texas Tech dominated in Ames, Iowa. So I think Otzelberger really trying to get this Cyclone team back on track.
Yeah, they don't have the odds for a few of these tournaments because they're already underway and they take them off the board. Okay. And then also, look, the Big Ten, Michigan is an even pick. Who do you like? Do you like any sleepers in the Big Ten?
Yeah, and again, the Kason, the loss of the guard, and he's a backup guard for Michigan,
Yeah, I'm not worried
but
about
he'd be
that.
starting anywhere else, and he's their complete guard that plays good
Yeah.
D. That's a major loss for Michigan, and that's why I don't have them in my Final Four. I think they're good
I
enough to
don't think
still
it's that
get
big
there.
of a loss. I think
Yeah,
they'll be
I
okay.
mean, I just do again. We got to look at the brackets, but right now I would take the Florida and Arizona is my choice right now to win the whole thing. I mean, to be the final game, especially if Duke that injury, because Duke's still the team that doesn't beat themselves, and so they were able to hold on against Florida, but that game was in Durham and they only won by a point. So
Okay. So you don't
I
have
like
any
the way
sleepers in the Big Ten?
Wisconsin, always Wisconsin,
Okay.
because Greg Gard's team's good enough, and if Boyd and Blackwell are on the same page and winners,
That's a
and
good one.
yeah, I mean
25 to 1, I think they are to win
yeah, I
the
always enjoy.
Big
Yeah, I
Ten.
enjoy Wisconsin. I got them 100 to 1. I think there they are 100 to 1 to get to the.
Yeah, they're a good Final Four pick. I think they could make a nice run if they can get a nice bracket. And in the last one, what about let's see, what is it? I think what is it? The American. Who do you like?
You had the American was
No, the
South
A10.
Florida.
The A10.
The A10.
Like?
And I will say that I did take a flyer on St. Bonnie's because it's Schmidt's last, as far as today's game, the game that was going on, and that was the early game today. And
what about George? I like George Mason as a nice because they were 25 to 1 to win the tournament. They just beat St. Louis.
Yep,
they've been very competitive under this coach the last couple of years.
Started out the Patriots started out red hot. They didn't lose a game in conference for a long time. Yeah, that was a nice win against St. Louis. Wasn't even close. They dominated wire to wire there on senior day, so that was big. But yeah, I could see Mason for sure there over in the A10. And St. Louis is a nice story. I think people are putting too much into St. Louis. That kid Avila, the transfer from Indiana State, is nice, but yeah, there's definitely definitely too much love for St. Louis right now.
They've lost 3 straight road games after starting the season with one loss in their first 25 games or something like that. I don't even know if they're still considered. I think they're still a bubble team. So we may have work to do. Okay, so go ahead and give us your right now. Of course, you don't have a bracket, but I'm sure we'll be talking to you over the next week or so. But right now, who do you have in the Final Four?
Arizona, Florida. Boy, it's hard not to have Duke. I just don't know.
Just give me a sleeper then.
Okay,
in the Final Four.
Okay, so no, let me go. Okay, so let me go. Florida, Arizona.
Because I think everybody is going to take, especially after what happened last year. I think we're all going to be taking the top teams
I know
again.
it's great. I talked about them winning the ACC tournament. I like Miami. I think this Miami team is
Final
good.
Four run. Okay.
Yep. I'm gonna go a long shot there with Miami. I like them.
Let's see. Where's Miami here to get to the Final Four? What odds do we have? Probably pretty good, I would think. Are they all the way down? 80 to 1 to get to the Final Four. I like it.
I think you have some value there. Again,
Without
team
question.
went into Charlottesville. Probably should have got a win there. I think they lost by 83-80 or something like that. And that's where I'll go. I'll go Miami as a sleeper right there. Miami of Florida, not Miami of Ohio, the undefeated Redhawks.
And maybe they play each other. All right, so that's going to wrap it up here once again on Jim Feist's Handicapping Show. Brought to you by Dom DeMarco's, voted Best of Las Vegas 5 years in a row, earned multiple local awards, and was named the highest rated Las Vegas pizzeria by, yes, that man again, Dave Portnoy. So come taste the quality at Dom DeMarco's, and Jim Feist will hopefully be back again next week to host the show. We're also hoping to have Jim on tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern, another 1 o'clock show on the Eastern time zone with Mark Lawrence hosting. Andy Isco will be with myself and hopefully Jim if he can make it. And then don't forget, on Monday night, we're going to have our championship, well, basically our NCAA tournament show. Sometime probably start between 7 and 9 Eastern on Monday night. We're going to go over all the brackets, sleepers, historical trends, all sorts of really cool stuff. So that's going to be on Monday. And I'll reach out to Ken. Maybe you can give us an updated pick or two once you get an opportunity to see the brackets, and I can let the viewers know who you like. And in the meantime, I'm assuming that you're going to have a lot of coverage on SportsX Radio between now and the tournament next week.
Yeah, nonstop, 4 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. KSHP is the station if you're in Vegas, 1400 AM, 1071 FM, but KSHP.com. And KSHP is now an app, so you can download that. But SportsXRadio.com worldwide, you can listen. And then the archives are always up on Twitter. It's a 2-hour show. I take the commercials out, so an hour and a half, but nonstop college basketball throughout. Been doing it for a long, long time. I enjoy it. But I will just say this on ProLine TV, and Greg doesn't know I'm going to say this, but at the end of the day, you have one of the most knowledgeable guys in college sports. And I don't care where it is, who it is, what network, Greg DePalma, not only the information, but the game within the game. And there's a select few that I put up on Mount Rushmore, DePalma, Brad Powers. These guys are there, college. They know the game, they know the information, but they know the game within the game. And that's important, right? And then you look at Jim Feist, and here's a guy, and Jim won't want me to say anything, but here's a guy battling stage 4 cancer, and every day the glass is not half full, it's overflowing. That's who Jim Feist is. And so for you folks out there that get a chance to watch the Jim Feist show, this guy, better than 6 decades, has been doing it. He beat Minnesota Fats as a 16-year-old kid for $6,000 and playing billiards. This guy is unreal. He's just amazing. He's sharper than attack. He's 83 or 82, 83 years old, and you'd never know it. This guy's just one of the greatest people. I just love him. His demeanor's outstanding. And you talk about Mark Lawrence and Andy Isco. Both those guys have been coming on my shows for better than a decade. I mean, the knowledge that you have on ProLine TV, DePalma, second to none. And you mentioned our lads, and you got your guys over there. And NFL draft-wise, folks, you won't get it. I don't give a crap about McShay and all these ESPN guys. No, you go to our lads. Those guys, they walk to the beat of their own drum. They put it out there, and these guys are spot on more than any other coverage as far as the draft. You guys are amazing when I see it, and I enjoy you guys big time.
Yeah, the draft guide, again, will be coming out in early April, so don't forget to order that at ourlads.com. Ken, appreciate your time as always. Thanks for checking in with us once again, and look forward to talking to you at some point between now and the Final Four.
Hold down the fort back east there, GDP. I appreciate you, brother.
You got it.